Hi, this is Roger. Thanks for dropping by. I'm beginning to begrudge watering because nowadays when I'm watering I keep finding things to do. You know, like, oh, I wonder how that's getting on in the pot. You lift it out of the pot and, oh, it needs to go in the kitchen now. And then you think to yourself, actually it needed to go in the kitchen a month ago. Well, when it's too late, it's too late. All you can do is hope. But I sorted this lot out this morning while I was watering. We've got 6 plants here of varying types, and it's actually Tuesday today. This part of the video will get posted tomorrow, Wednesday, and the second part of it, because this is going to be too long for one part, will be posted on Thursday. Now I know that's the 8th and it should be everything in bloom on the 8th, but I'm out on Thursday. I'm going to see Lynn and then take her plant, and then the two of us are setting off to another place to see some other Orchid Society people. So I'll be out most of the day, so I'm not filming basically. So this will give me 2 parts, one for tomorrow, one for the day after, and then we'll start again fresh on Friday. So what did we dig out then? Well, first thing we dug out was this Masdevallia that was in bloom for quite a while. And when I got it, we lifted it gently out the pot and the roots didn't look bad. Well, they do now. That's virtually a total root loss. And it's that peat stuff again. I must admit, I thought that was in moss. But we will see if we can rescue it. But it is now a rescue, quite a dramatic rescue as well. Just have to hope it pushes some new roots out relatively soon. So that's number 1. This is a species Sarcochilus hartmannii, and I keep looking at it and thinking, why won't you grow properly? The 2 hybrids that I've got don't do bad, but this one just won't get going. It's got some nasty marks on. It is growing. I mean, it's pushed out a new root recently, and then as I picked it up like that to look at it, to see the roots, look closely in the pot. It's absolutely full of mould. And what gave it away was that little rusty spot there. That caught my eye, which then made my eyes zoom in on the media. Look, it's full of mould. See all those little white spots everywhere? So that not only needs repotting, but the plant will need a good clean up with hydrogen peroxide to make sure the mould spores are gone. So that's why that one's in there. And then this one has been in need of a repot for some considerable time, and I just haven't done it. Hopefully it's not too late. This is a Cylogenie, nitida, however you want to say it. And I know it seems odd, but the latest 2 growths, I'm not sure they've actually pushed their roots out yet, even though they're mature. Strange one this is, because it pushes up a growth from the base, and it looks just like a new spike coming up. And then the blooms come straight out the top, and you think, oh, it was a spike. And then the blooms drop off, and it carries on growing and turns into a bulb. That's just how it is. But this just needs a repot. It's in very, very old media, basically. I don't think this is a total root loss or anything, but it will be if I don't get on with it. Quite a fine root system. It has got some, so let's get that in something a bit better. And then this one this morning, it had lots of grit on the top of it. It's a relatively recent purchase, little Psychopsis, and it's Mariposa twins. We'll wait and see what that actually means, but basically it's a named variety of Mariposa, which is, I can't remember whether that's a species or a primary cross. It doesn't matter either way, it's still a Psychopsis. Now these are notorious for not liking their roots disturbed, so I've left this in the pot and it feels heavy, but then it was absolutely covered in grit, and I thought, oh, that's probably the grit that I'm thinking, you know, is the weight, so let's water it. But not being able to see what's going on today, I forced it out of its pot. I really had to do quite a bit of squeezing and managed to get it to come out of its pot. And what we have is compacted moss and some roots that are starting to die. So this is a matter of, have I caught it in time? If you lose your roots on these, they're not very easy to get going again. But this is, yeah, it's old moss. So that's short and simple, in the pot too long. Although it hasn't been in the pot too long here, I haven't actually had it that long. So, but it's obviously been in that pot for some time and was purchased and sold on. That happens, that's the way of the world. And then the last two, this one came from Lynn. This was one of her, at one of the Orchid Society meetings, she just sort of walked up to me and went, "You do Oncidium types, don't you?" Here you are. Because she doesn't, basically, or didn't, I don't know whether she does now, but she, certain types of what you would call quite popular orchid types, Lynn doesn't do. Now this is a good root system. It's a little brittle, which means it's staying a bit dry too long, and we'll deal with that. It's in bark, there's nothing wrong with that root system. My problem with it is the latest growth was on the edge of the pot. Yeah, so all this room round here is wasted. The bit that is going to grow next would have been over the edge of the pot, so that's getting repotted purely because its positioning needs sorting out. And that is a Miltonia. It's a strange one. It's I'll put a pot up, but basically it's a species crossed with a primary cross, one of which naturally occurs in the wild, I think. I'll put a pot up. And then the other one is an unknown. Now at the moment we've got Miltonia Summer Glory in bloom. And although it's not in my notes, in my memory, I'm sure I also had a Miltonia Summer Breeze. And this has got no tag. And this was one of those, right, you know, it lost its roots, let's put it in a tiny little pot and see if it will grow some roots. Well, it has grown some roots, it's grown quite a lot, but it's also climbing, and it's this awkward position you get where roots will just die back because they're not hydrated enough. So this just needs repositioning in the pot, but it's got two leads on it, and I don't like the look of that one. That looks like that might be rotting. You see down in there? In fact it is, I can see it is. So that lead will have to come off. Well, let's hope the other one's okay. The other one looks okay. The bulb behind it's okay, but yeah, so that just needs sorting out. It's been in the pot too long and it needs sorting out. So let's go. I'll do an amount of it, but a fair bit will be in the sink, I suspect, normally washing off. Certainly the Cycopsis will, I'm not damaging those roots. So this is just bark with a little bit of moss on the surface. This will just sprinkle, 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 and those roots are dry. So obviously this is not hydrating enough. But that's it, that's all that needs doing. To clean that up, that was it. The only other thing I will do is take the sheaths off, which immediately exposes the nice new growth. Ready to go, and as soon as it forms its roots, they'll go down in the pot. So there's our little new growth, as expected. I'm going to take the one wobbly back bulb off the back, because it's not required. Make sure all the sheaths are gone, hidey holes for scale. Yeah, I'll just give that a rinse under the tap, and that one's ready to go. That was easy, wasn't it? I'll keep the tag with it as well. Right, so that's that one. Let's do the other Oncidium type. Get that out of the way. I've got my pots at the wrong end. Let's get them up there. Yeah, as I said, this one was put in a small pot and unfortunately just left in there, which is not good. So it's been in there too long now. It's staying wet, even though it's a small pot. The roots are not lost, but there's something not right with it. For a new growth like that to rot like that badly, that's soggy as well. So we'll have to go careful now. We'll have to go careful that none of that part of the plant gets on any other part of the plant, and I'm going to need my scissors. I'll be back. Okay, big apology, camera malfunction, all the rest of getting these plants out of their pots, looking at the roots and all that sort of stuff, the camera wasn't on. So that clip is missing. So unfortunately that's the end of part 1. There isn't anything else to see, and we'll pick it up again in part 2, which is basically getting the plants in their selected pots, having a look at some media and stuff like that. I mean, I'm sorry, this sort of thing doesn't happen very often with me. I've been doing it long enough that I shouldn't make silly mistakes like that. But it looked like I double pressed the button. So I pressed the record button and my finger wobbled, and pressed it a second time, which effectively turned the record button off. That's the only thing I can think that happened. And so there's a clip missing, which was unfortunate. These things happen. So on to part 2, where there are no clips missing. And sorry about that. I mean, stuff happens, you know. Nothing's perfect in this world, it seems. Although I'm very close. See you in the next one.